Okay.
Ron, you done messed up.
I thought I would be able to get away with just holding it. Yes, if I just hold it like that, we can both fit in the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And it's
can
good.
see.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I only vaguely remember if I set the listing to public or to unlisted. How do I know? Oh, you know what, George? Can you check my channel and see? You can see it? Okay. Okay, good. People are finally showing up. Okay, good. So I titled this "Scientology is Failing in Hawaii Too," and I think when I was in Scientology, I truly, truly believed all the propaganda we were told about how big and successful Scientology was, how it was the fastest growing religious movement on earth.
Oh, yeah.
How every year we were actually making progress towards what they call clearing the planet.
Yeah. If we didn't believe that, why would we stay?
That's right. That's right. And the fact, yeah, the fact that that's what we were told, the fact that I believed it, it makes you feel like you're part of the winning team. It validates the so-called truth of everything you're being told is the truth, but it's actually a lie. But you're like, well, everybody couldn't possibly be lying about everything.
Turns out they were.
And it's funny because
Scientology was lying, not
right.
the critics of it.
Yeah. And just as much as I believed everything we were told when we were in about how big and how fast we were expanding, it's also, I've noticed now that we're out of Scientology, people are consistently shocked when they find out how small Scientology actually is. 20 to 30,000 members in the entire world, and it's getting closer and closer to 20. And, even in the U.S., I think outside of the U.S., Scientology is basically considered a big U.S. religion, a big Hollywood religion. And yet even in the United States, like half of the states have no Scientology organization.
That's very true.
And anyway, we happen to be in Hawaii, and, we've been getting a lot of questions as to were we going to do any protesting in Hawaii, or is there an org in Hawaii? And there is an org in Hawaii, but it's not on the Big Island, which is where we are.
Yep. It is on Oahu, where the org is. So we're on the Big Island. Not where in Oregon. They don't have anything here. There's no Scientology here. I don't remember there being any Scientology on the other islands, except for in the 80s. I did remember hearing there were maybe some Dianetics groups, like really small on the Big Island. Because I know there were a few people who came over, but it was small back when we were kids. Which was probably when it was its largest in Hawaii.
Right.
Was when Lana and I were little. And by the way, I'm Natalie. My channel is Life After a Cult. I have to say the name because this one won't. He'll just say,
what do
Natalie.
I say?
Natalie from Life After a Cult.
Oh. Okay. I think your point is if someone searches Natalie, they're not going to find you on YouTube.
Exactly.
They have to search Life After a
Cult. So
Cult.
I appreciate the shout outs, but you got to say Life After a Cult so
Natalie.
people know my channel.
Life After a Cult.
Exactly.
Okay. So you know how Scientology says they say like 11,000 or 15,000 orgs, missions, and groups.
Oh yeah.
And it's that and groups thing that allows them to make up that fake number.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was thinking about this the other day that the and groups is still already counted when we do our estimate of Scientologists in the world.
Exactly.
Because those groups, well, to be honest, there's not thousands of them, there's probably dozens of them. But those groups are just individuals. It'd be like if one person has an LLC and they're like a sole proprietor LLC, but you call yourself a corporation. That's like Scientology. Someone becomes a Dianetics auditor. They open up a field group called Joe's Dianetics Auditing Practice, and all of a sudden, he's counted as a Scientologist.
And a group.
And a group!
Yeah, they double dip. It's Scientology math. It's very different math.
That's right. And the truth is, so anyone who's worked in a Scientology organization knows that these groups don't exist. How do they know that these groups don't exist?
They don't.
Well, how do they know that the groups don't exist? Because the only reason those groups exist is to send brand new people into the org.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's
Nobody's
like
coming.
there's no such thing as a group that is outside of the purview or domain of a Scientology org.
Yes.
These groups that exist, I can tell you in my whole time at the Philadelphia org in Philly, the only Scientology organization in all of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Maybe there were 2 Scientology public individuals who opened up a so-called group and tried to deliver Dianetics auditing to like brand new raw public, and it's just total abject failure.
Yeah. No.
And there's only 134 Scientology organizations in the world. There's maybe 50 to 60 to 65 of those in the United States.
Yeah.
Most of those are in California.
Yes.
Most states only have one org. All of Pennsylvania only has one.
Yeah.
I think Texas is one of the most massive states. It might have four. It might have four orgs.
Yeah. Dallas, Austin,
Houston.
Houston.
So one in San Antonio.
I don't remember
think
hearing
so.
that there's a San Antonio.
I don't think so. So, but I just mentioned the groups thing because Scientology likes to pretend like it's something separate from an organ of mission, and you're like, actually, it's under an organ of mission, and we would know of all of those, and they actually don't exist. And even if they did exist, they're being double counted. Oh, they're already being counted in the number of Scientologists.
Yeah,
in the
they're
world.
totally double dipping.
Yeah, totally.
We should start counting SPTV groups. If anyone would like to start one, let us know. Then we count each one person as a group.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, I just thought it would be fun to jump on here and use Hawaii as a case study for Scientology failing hard in some of the markets that I don't know. Well, I wanted to open up for this discussion is, would Hawaii generally be a market if Scientology were going to succeed? Like, would Hawaii be a market where it would succeed? Kind of like I've always said, if Scientology were going to succeed, it should succeed in the wealthiest. Well, Scientology is unbelievably expensive.
Yeah.
It should succeed in the most populous, the most populated, and highest income zip codes, like maybe Manhattan or Miami.
Yeah. I think that there would be certain parts of Hawaii, I would say in general, for the residents, no. It would be ridiculously expensive. Most families, my own included, end up leaving Hawaii because it's so expensive that the locals can't afford to live there. It has become much more affluent people in, just owning much more property. So I mean, technically from a money perspective, if they were into a cult like Scientology, yes, they could support it, I think, in Hawaii.
Yes. So, which one of the islands, forgive me if you just said this, which one of the islands is like the most affluent island, if there is one?
In terms of?
Whatever. Like high income people who actually live in the area.
Oahu more? I mean, there's more.
Which island would be the most affluent island?
There's more population in Oahu, so there's more opportunity. I mean, look, you got the North Shore, you got Hawaii Kai.
My numbers, but Hawaii is pretty high and Maui.
Yeah.
And yet, what kind of bird do we think that is?
Is the Franklin.
The Franklin?
Franklin. Yeah, it's so great that my sister and Farrell Shore are both really into birding. And we're learning about the birds.
I didn't know that the geckos actually made noises as well, which we found out
yeah.
last night. I found out for the first time last night.
Yeah.
The geckos in Florida don't make noises.
Those aren't real geckos in Florida. I keep telling you this. Only the true gecko is in Hawaii. It's the only gecko that counts. That Florida gecko is a clout-chasing poser. Real geckos are in Hawaii.
Okay, so if Scientology were to succeed in Hawaii, I don't know that Scientology would ever succeed in a place where it's mostly tourists.
No, there are a lot of wealthy landowners, but I don't think that Scientology would succeed on that level in Hawaii because it's so in conflict with the culture. What the culture is, how people live, how they treat people here is very different. I mean, when I was growing up in Scientology, it always conflicted. Scientology, especially when I was in the Sea organization, conflicted with my values and how you treat people, being from Hawaii. So when I left Scientology, I felt like I leaned a lot more back into where I came from, which is Hawaii and that culture. And I think that's one of the problems with them succeeding in a place like Hawaii, where a lot of the behavior in Scientology would be so offensive to a lot of people.
That's the opposite of keeping it aloha?
Exactly.
I thought that was just a phrase that you came up with, but I've seen it on signs around here.
Yeah, no, it's like a lifestyle. It's like living aloha. It's a spirit. Like you feel it here in Hawaii, but you can take that home, and it's about how you treat people. How you communicate, being able to help people when you can, and try to have patience, and which is sometimes really hard. That's why I have it tattooed here to remind me not to be a bitch. I got it, Live Aloha tattooed on my arm.
It is incredible that that even the Scientology org here in Hawaii has managed to keep the doors open, in my opinion.
Oh, it's crazy. And the one guy that we see, so my sister and I, Lana, we've protested at the Hawaii org on Oahu 2 times. And we see the same guy, Wilbur, which is so sad because one, he's been there his entire adult life. And secondly, he's known us since we were 3 and 5 years old. And he called the cops on us the first time we went and protested.
That's not aloha at all.
Not aloha at all, Wilbur. Not aloha at all.
You know,
Second time he didn't call the cops.
The 2 Scientologists I remember from Hawaii is Amy Suzuki and Scott Mitsko.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys know Amy and Scott?
I remember Amy. Scott, I must have met.
I think they
remember
got married
Amy.
after they got back from Flag.
Oh,
even
really?
though
Amy was a supervisor, course soup.
She was the senior case supervisor, as far as I know.
Oh, that happened later then, after I left.
Oh,
out of
okay.
Hawaii.
Yeah, yeah. Scott was a soup for sure.
Did you know Lon Watari?
Yes.
Lon Watari is from Hawaii.
He he ended up in the Sea Org at PAC.
Yeah.
He was like the CEO Folo, I think he was.
I think it was the CO Follow. Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, he was from Hawaii org,
He's
huh?
from Hawaii org, yeah.
Wow. He sort of kept it a little aloha. I didn't have much to do with him, so maybe not always. Because, I mean, he had a pretty executive position. So I didn't interact with him very much. But he didn't walk around with the same sort of, like, I will destroy you attitude that some executives walked around
And he
with.
would always do a shaka and if a lot of people weren't around.
Yeah.
When I would see him, he'd sneak one in.
Yeah. I feel like Hawaii will literally be the last org in the world that gets its ideal org building.
Oh, no
I mean,
doubt.
first of all, do you have any idea if they've even secured a property?
No idea.
I mean, imagine how expensive that would be.
So expensive. We were looking at, of course, being in real estate. I was looking at the Zillow.
Yeah.
There's a house down the street that's on the beach.
Down the street from here?
Yeah, 3 bedroom, 3 bath, 6.875 million.
Oh my! Have you looked up the appraised value of this Airbnb?
I couldn't find it. They might have taken it off the market while we're renting it because they can't do showings.
Oh.
And the value goes up because you guys have been here.
Yes. Incredible. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like there's just this certain type of Scientology org that's sort of grandfathered in. Miscavige cannot let it close. As long as there's 3 Scientologists left in the city, they can at least stick someone at the reception desk, call someone else the executive director, maybe send in a couple Sea Org members.
That's exactly what they did. I think Wilbur is the executive director, and he was at reception. And there was a Sea Org member there that we saw.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was just giving us stink eye.
Yeah. And because these orgs don't have any mortgages, as long
But they have to pay management.
they have
rent.
to sure that's just a way to funnel the money. That's just a way to keep the books as close to 0 or negative as possible, right?
Well, but they do send the money. I mean, they don't hold on to the money.
No, but I'm saying, well, they can only send the money if they make the money first.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly,
But I'm saying, like, from international management's perspective, the bare minimum that management has to do to keep the doors open is pay the water,
Yeah.
pay the electric. Maybe, I guess you have to pay insurance, even if there's no mortgage. They probably pay insurance anyway.
Yeah, you'd think.
And you don't have to pay the staff. If there's no money, you don't pay the staff.
No, they're just working for free.
Yeah, and even in some of these orgs, it's funny because even though the expenses really come down to water, electric, insurance, I'm consistently amazed how many people reach out to us and tell us the state of their local org.
And they can't pay the electric bill.
Not only can they not pay the electric bill, they've got 6-figure account balances with the power company.
Wow.
Management,
that's
so
embarrassing.
management doesn't even step in to pay the electric bill until it's like last minute going to collections. And if they have to do that, they're coming in and they're removing all the staff.
Oh, for sure. They have to put a head on a pike, as they say.
Yeah.
In Scientology.
Yeah. Oh,
They
my
would have to.
foot's
It'd be a
going
bypass. You gotta
numb.
take somebody out.
Yeah, exactly. If we're gonna send someone in,
Yeah.
we're taking
somebody out.
we're taking some butts with us.
So that's when all the staff would be busy writing reports on each other.
Yeah.
So it's not their head on a pike.
Yeah.
So
and
it's snitching each other out.
yeah, so the abject
It's like Survivor.
it is, right?
Figuring out who you're going to get voted out of the org.
The abject failure of the existing Scientology orgs goes hand in hand with why Miscavige couldn't open up new orgs if he wanted to.
No.
You
No.
couldn't scrape together enough staff members in public to man up and open up a new org. And if you did, you'd just be cannibalizing what little business exists
Exactly. It's so
at
sad.
the nearest org.
He knows that. It's like throwing a birthday party and nobody comes.
Yeah.
That's what it's like now.
It makes me feel so much worse for the staff members who are stuck there now, just totally oblivious. And here's actually what this kind of ties into the purpose of doing this chat. Totally oblivious that every org in the world is failing just as hard as they are.
We had no idea out
Yeah.
here in Hawaii. We thought that we were the only org that was failing, that we were the small one because, we're on an island.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had no idea. And then I went to Los Angeles when I was like 15 to go do training. And you start finding out that, because all the people on work study, because if your org doesn't pay for your room and board
Right.
while you're training in Los Angeles, you have to do work study.
That's right.
So I had to work in the galley.
That's right.
It was like doing work study at college, except it was painful and
Yeah.
went way, well, I guess, anyways, not a good analogy, but
The reason I like repeating this message as often as I'm inspired to do so is because Scientology failing so hard is a complete contradiction to what the general perception is of Scientology.
yeah,
That it's this unbelievably wealthy.
it's
Religion.
completely hyped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the truth is, compared to you or I, Scientology has a lot of money. But compared
Scientology is like the influencer that rents out a staged airplane to go do a video.
Yes.
That's what Scientology is.
Is that Lil Bow Wow? Was Lil Bow Wow the rapper who he took a shot of himself about boarding a private jet, and then he went and boarded a commercial flight, and someone on the commercial flight took a photo of him. And it was like, this mofo just posted a thing to Instagram, totally humiliated him in the hip hop the rap world. Yeah, Scientology is a little Bow Wow of religions.
Completely. It's embarrassing. I have like secondhand embarrassment almost every single day. Like, I'm embarrassed for you. It is so bad.
Yeah, so compared to you or I, Scientology's few billion, 3 billion, 4 billion, I mean, at most 5 billion.
Yeah.
Between real estate assets and cash in the bank, at most 5 billion. But as far as religious organizations, that's not that much money.
No, but still, when you think about how much money companies pay, look at how the cigarette people convinced how many people, entire populaces, that you could smoke when you're pregnant.
Right.
That's like what Scientology's trying to do, except
Right.
they're a cult. But even with the money, they still can't do it. That's how bad Scientology's so bad. They can't buy their way. Like, they can't buy PR.
That's
Like,
right.
they're so bad.
They can't even buy the good PR.
If David Miscavige can't grow Scientology with the amount of money that he has,
Yeah.
that's like the level of loser that he is. That's the embarrassing part. Like, you have all the money,
Yeah.
and you don't know what to do with it. Like, you have none of the skill. But that's what happens when you.
It's right. And it's funny because they have so much potential PR. But what is that? George has something here. The top religions by organizational net worth. Number 1, the Mormons.
Oh yeah,
Almost perhaps as much as 300 billion.
that magic underwear is working for them. We laugh at it, but look at the money.
Wow.
Get me some on Amazon.
Catholic Church estimated 30 billion, potentially hundreds of billions globally.
I was
Oh my God.
baptized Catholic as a before my mom got into Scientology.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Number 3, Church of England, net worth perhaps about 24 billion.
Wow.
Number 4, Seventh-day Adventists, as much as 15 billion. And then it says, number 5, Church of Scientology, estimated 2 billion.
For as little people
that
they
makes them
are.
number 5. Wow.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like when you make that much money and
Yeah.
you're that small of a
Right.
organization and you still can't grow. I mean, that's like next level embarrassment.
Right. They don't really seem to put the money into something that would allow them to grow. I mean, I say that. I would also, I'm not sure I know what they could put money in that would allow them
I don't
to
think
grow.
David Miscavige really wants Scientology to grow.
You
in
really
terms
don't think
of
so?
People. I think he wants to control what he has and beef up the real estate holdings like they've been doing.
Do you think, though,
Manage
that is
less
because
people.
he has just become convinced it's impossible? Or do you think he truly, do you think he doesn't want to do it anymore because he doesn't think it's possible anymore? Or do you think if he thought it was possible, he would want it to be done?
Exactly that. If he thought it was possible, he would want it to be done. I think he knows it's not possible. And that's why I think the game has become amass as much real estate and money as you possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the game, again, you try to put yourself in his head, it's a little weird, right? Is to hold on and make it look as good as possible until he dies, because after that, who gives a shit?
He doesn't care. Yeah.
It all goes to his wife.
It all goes to Shelley.
I'm sure he changed that. Well, I don't know if you can. Yeah, because
It's a joke.
Yeah.
It doesn't go to Shelley. It goes.
But his money, I mean, he has money that he's taken.
Yeah, he's probably
He
got a
has.
few million squirreled
Yeah,
away
exactly.
somewhere, for sure. And so when you were a little girl, which was what, 20 years ago?
15.
So the org is on Oahu,
Yes.
and that's literally like for your lifetimes and your parents and your grandparents, like it's the only org that has ever been on Hawaii. There's never been another
they've
one.
moved. They moved a few times, but it is the only org that's been in Hawaii. Has been on Oahu.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the many islands of Hawaii, there has only ever and will only ever be a single, small, struggling,
Yes.
failing Scientology organization. And it's not on the Big Island, which is why when we landed, I did that little video saying, marked safe from Scientology on the Big Island.
That's right, because there's no Scientology on the Big Island. Probably why it's my favorite. My favorite island is the Big Island.
How miserable to be a Scientology Sea Org member or staff member assigned to the Hawaii org and have this mindset of you have to, like, literally if you do anything other than work and take any time off, as Tom Cruise would say, frolic. He wants to frolic. He wants to romp.
He can't.
I want to romp.
He can't romp.
That you have other fish to fry, your
Got a
out
planet to
ethics,
save.
your other intentioned, your PTS to the middle class.
Exactly.
You're a DB.
You're a slacker.
And you compare that to the atmosphere of Hawaii,
Which is all about relaxing and
Yes.
chilling and just hanging out with people and talk story, as we call it. You know, like
Yeah.
when David and his wife come over and
Yeah.
you run into people at the flea market. Try to avoid your family wherever you are. Not me, other people, I hear.
Oh, they call it talk stories. That's the thing.
Yeah, when you get together and hang out, you just talk story.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so I always think of the height. One of the ways that in the Philly org that we brainwashed ourselves into thinking we were clearing the planet is we did manage to get a core of about 35 very dedicated, focused, gung ho, let's just say well trained staff members who took our job seriously, but worked really well together, had a lot of fun as much as possible.
Yeah.
It all falls apart eventually when
Yeah.
heads start going on pikes. Did you guys ever have something like, it was never more than 35 staff really of like at the peak. Did you guys ever have like a
I
core
heard in
of
the 70s they might have had like 65, 85,
There was more than 35.
more. Like in
More.
the 70s,
wow.
it was, right? Because when we were there, it was
My arm's getting
76.
tired. When you were there, 1976 or 76 people?
76, we were
I'm just saying, when you say 76, are you meaning 1976?
1976.
Okay.
It was a previous lifetime because I wasn't a little kid in 76.
Oh. Oh, wait, I get
Kidding,
it.
I was 6. Totally 6.
And because how I know Amy Suzuki and Scott Mitsko is they were members of the group of people who were training at Flag from the Hawaii org.
Yeah, and Amy was a supervisor back when I think I was there, and I remember where the org was in Honolulu, not where it is now. They've moved multiple times for an
Okay.
island. It's kind of crazy.
But they've always stayed on the island?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And they've only been shrinking since then, too. It's never been as busy. Ooh, look at the gecko. He's going to turn yellow.
Oh, yeah, those do not look like Florida geckos at all.
Yeah, no, those definitely real
All right, back to talking stories. So you really feel like you could have like 50, 60, 70 people at some point?
Oh,
of,
yeah,
like the
yeah.
Scientology Hawaii team?
Back in the day, you know Dennis Clark? Remember Dennis Clark?
Ooh, I
He
do
was a big
recognize that name.
CCHR guy.
Yes.
He was from Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah. He ended up, I think that might have even been where he passed away, I'm not sure. But they totally turned his back on him in the end.
Huh. Is he one of those guys who ended up like broke, dying in his car, that kind of stuff?
I don't think it's car.
Okay, different
but
guy, different
yeah.
guy. You know, I wonder if back in the day, because also back in the 70s and 80s, Scientology was much more chill. The Sea Org ethics hadn't quite infiltrated all the way into the Class 5 orgs. And, well, I'll give you an example. Jeff Perlman, who we know in San Diego,
Yeah.
when he was on post in San Diego, you know, he'd wake up in the morning and go surfing before post.
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of stuff, like, you managed to having some sort of a work-life balance back when Scientology sort of allowed that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those days are long gone.
Oh, for sure.
But I wonder if
Look at Aaron Cairo. They don't let him out to go skateboarding.
That's right. Well, now they make him go shoot a couple videos to try to keep his business alive. But
Exactly. So they can see pumping money into the org when he doesn't make his quotas.
poor Aaron Cairo.
Wah, wah.
But I wonder what like the work-life balance was for the Scientology Hawaii crew back in the day. Like if they're like, oh no, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna party
I
hard,
feel
play
like
hard,
they
work hard,
still-
work
I
hard,
feel
party
like
hard, work hard, play hard.
They did more than
Play
I
hard,
would
party hard.
say, yeah, because it's also part of the culture. But I can remember a change where, like, I think there was a time where that was more respected, the cultural differences.
Yeah.
But that changed. I mean, look, I don't think Wilbur would have called the cops on us some years ago
Right.
if we showed up just live streaming in front of the org like he did.
He called the cops and you didn't even try to go into the building or anything? He just called the
No,
cops?
we just went in front, but
We were in front,
And then we-
there's a little courtyard in front.
yeah.
And then there's.
But there's a post office there, there's other businesses there. So we just stayed on the sidewalk. And then the police officers gave us awesome tips on where to get the best manapua in Chinatown because we were right there. So we went, followed their directions. And then when we were in Chinatown, we ran into one of them and she stopped and was like, "Did you find the manapua?" We're like, "Yeah, we found the manapua." We're like, awesome.
Are we talking about Maddie's favorite art purchaser back in the day when she and her sister were selling artwork?
That's right.
That's right, exactly. That time I almost brought Mark David Chapman into Scientology.
That's right. John Lennon's killer got into Scientology through Natalie's family.
Yeah,
At least that's what the FBI thought while they were doing their investigation.
exactly. I mean, it was just me and Lana, and we were only 9, and I was almost 10. So Lana was 7.
So there's a lot of new people who haven't heard the story
Oh, yeah,
yet. It's
yeah.
a truly unbelievable story. So when you and your sister were little,
We were little. The org was in Waikiki.
the Waikiki, okay.
And our mom would be, she was on the Purif then, I think, right, Lana? She was on staff, and she was what's called a body router in Scientology. So she would go get people to come into the org, because in Scientology, they call new people raw meat. And so her job was to go get raw meat into the org to do personality tests. So we heard her spiel all the time. And Lana and I would sell these pictures, try to make candy money, and they stopped us from doing it in the org because we were running a business, which is not allowed apparently.
You were profiting off of the backs of Scientologists,
We were.
you out ethics little kids.
Even though I was almost 10, that still wasn't allowed. So we took our business to the streets in Waikiki. We went across the street because there was always a security guard hanging around outside whose name was Mark. And I was like, "Hey, we're selling these for $0.25." And he bought some. And then I thought that went well. I was a kid. I'm like, okay, well, and I did the spiel inviting him to do a personality test that my mom said. Come and do a personality test.
Thank you, George.
And then he said something about don't go down the street, like don't leave the block. Like even Mark David Chapman was given like better parenting advice than Scientology was. Nobody knew where we were. We were running around wild.
Scientology literally said, get out on there on those streets and make some money if you're looking for money.
Exactly, they did. So I remember just a couple of times doing that, and he disappeared. And then sometime after, our mom was like, you're in trouble. Well, me. She always blamed me, even though Lana was just as involved. I'm like, what? And she explained to us that she had to do an interview with the FBI, and it's not okay. Now, you got to remember that this was only 2 years after, 3 years after 11 Scientologists, including L. Ron Hubbard's wife, were sentenced to prison for Operation Snow White because they infiltrated 136 government entities. So Scientology was super butt shy about the FBI. They wanted nothing to do with it. So the fact that the FBI came to the org, we were banned for a little bit, which was nice. We didn't have to go hang out in Waikiki. We could just be home. But that changed, and part of my mom being allowed back in was Lana and I had to start our indoctrination.
Yeah.
So it's like, because John Lennon got shot, Lana and I had to start in Scientology.
I feel like I've asked you, I know I've asked you this before, but I can't remember the answer. How did the FBI ever come to find out that Mark David Chapman, when he was in Hawaii, was buying artwork from these girls and giving them money for candy, who invited him in to do a Scientology personality test?
I think it was because, well, I don't know how they, like, there had to have been cameras, or at least some cameras, even
Oh.
back then. It was 1980. But he had gone into the org.
He did
I forgot
go
that
in.
part.
He
Mark
did
David
go
Chapman
in.
went into the org
Oh my goodness.
and told them it was a cult. And this is right before he went and killed John Lennon in New York. Yeah. So Mark David Chapman and Charles Manson were like, no, man. But my family, 35 years. Yeah. That makes sense.
That's right. There's that Charles Manson attributed quote of saying even he thought Scientology was crazy. And so even the guy who shot John Lennon was like, Scientology, it's a cult! It's a cult!
I know.
Well,
Hopefully you'd think like that would have been a red flag. But I mean, I was 10, so I kind of don't take responsibility for that. But
yeah.
when my mom, she was only 28 and,
Wow.
you know, married to our new stepdad. Who,
Wow. By the way, guys, the reason the chat is crazy is because there's a ton of brand new people in the chat, and that's just what happens on YouTube.
I can't even read the chat. The print on your phone is so small. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I can't read anything. And I'm wearing my These are prescription.
Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. Rest assured, Scientology is failing in every single city, in every single state. Literally half the states of the United States don't even have a Scientology organization. All the groups Scientology claims to have are just fake. They're just individual Scientologists who say they own a group, and it means nothing. Literally, there's about 134 Scientology organizations in the entire world. They're all horrendously failing, except for the one in Clearwater, Florida. It's the only one that actually truly turns a profit. Scientology manages to squeeze all the money it gets out of a dwindling number of members, and
I feel like Pat Harney is doing good in Clearwater, though, at
Yes.
the information center. And I feel that more people should go by and say hello to her.
Yes.
Don't be rude.
Yes.
Just, go by the information center in Clearwater. Scientology, is that what it's called? Information
they
center?
call
then?
it the Scientology. They either call it the Information Center or the Welcome Center.
Yeah. Just say, hi,
Yeah.
Pat. Just flow her some aloha, flow her some love. Hey, Pat.
That's right. I haven't been able to drop in on my best friend Pat Harney because
Yeah.
we've been out of town for 5 days now.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I get back, Pat, I miss you. I'll be back. We're going to continue our conversations about how to get all the Sea Org members out of their billion-year contracts. But
Yeah,
for
their solutions.
anyone else in the Tampa Bay area who wants to go by and say hi to Pat, maybe take a little video, say we wish her well.
Say, hey, Pat.
Tell her we miss her. We're looking forward to resuming our chats. And send me the video, and maybe I'll do something with it.
Yes. She doesn't run away. All the other ones run away.
Yeah.
Every Sea Org member in LA will run away.
The reason they can run away is because they can also close their doors. Pat doesn't have an automatic door closer.
Oh, but she doesn't even duck out or run. She just looks at you like, oh, this dumbass again.
Yeah.
She doesn't even try, which it makes me like her. Like, I'm rooting for Pat Harney, not Scientology, but she still obviously has spunk in her. Maybe she'll come with us, Pat.
I feel like she gets in trouble every time she sits there and listens to me for too long without trying to interrupt me. And I think on the one hand, she's trying to be like, let me hear what funny story he comes up with today. And on the other hand, she's got like a timer ticking in her head of like, okay, how long can I sit here silently until I get in trouble for not interrupting him?
I think so too. She's like, she's got real anti-energy, and you can tell she just wants to whack him with a wad of paper, which is what makes it so much funnier to me, because she's just like, she's not afraid.
Some of the people who don't know who she is and watch the videos are like, oh, she's not even a Sea Org member because she's just sitting at a desk and she's just...
Yeah, no.
Pat Harney is a high-level
She's an OG.
Scientology Office of Special Affairs operative.
Don't be fooled.
She's been in her role, in her organization for 40 50 years now.
That's why she stares you down. I'm
Yes,
just saying.
she's not
like,
afraid
she's not afraid.
of the
She's
big
sitting
bad
there
wolf.
like, oh, make my day, Asmithlevin. Walk in here, see what happens. She'll throw it. I wouldn't put her back, like throwing like a stapler, like right at you.
I know, right?
You know she wants to.
Abraham says, bring her back a lay.
Bring her back away. Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes. I will declare victory when they install an automatic door closer on the Clearwater Bank building. And yes. So how much longer are we in town? I think another 8 or 9 days.
Yep.
4 weeks.
Something like that.
Yep.
And then we'll be back to it. It's kind of hard to get videos done here. I mean, technically it's not
Yes.
hard, but
No, it's just like, I got taken hostage by Island Natalie. And Island Natalie is not letting Natalie Life After a Cult do her job. But I feel like tomorrow,
yeah. I've got
after the farmer's market.
got all sorts of stuff I'm dragging my feet on.
Yeah.
But it's fun to do live stream,
Yeah.
casual videos like this, and maybe we'll try to do more of these.
And I've got some funny shorts out of Aaron living his best life. He had an entire beach at the Mauna Kea resort to himself.
Oh yeah.
We were sitting on the shore just watching, and he was on his Costco floaty, just living his best life.
Yep.
It's under shorts if you want to go see it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's amazing.
Farrell, Cheryl, and I were on lookout. Like, we were making sure, because you were alone in the water, that a shark didn't get you.
Yes. I was very aware that if a
She's
shark,
going to be mad if I let you get eaten
Yeah.
by a shark. It just took all the fun out of it.
I just resigned myself to my fate. I was like, if a shark comes for me, it's my time.
It's a good way
It
to
was
go.
meant to be. It's a good way to go. You know,
It's
quick,
honorable.
honorable. Shark death is very honorable.
Then
way to go.
we're gonna take your body and
Ship it to Pat.
ship it to Pat.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us.
That is so morbid. Like, what happened?
We're not done yet. Okay. Bye,
No,
guys.
I know.
Oh.
I know.
All right. Bye-bye.